Honestly, this is, one of those rare moments when, your emotions almost overwhelm you, yeah. I don't even know where to start again. Oh my God. I am grateful for all of us here. I thank every single one of us that made out the time to come and join us on this special occasion, very memorable occasion. This whole occasion wouldn't have meant anything if you guys didn't come. Our speakers, our panelists, our friends, our colleagues, our interns even from the, our secondary school program. I am very happy to have you here. Interestingly, every single person sitting here is not just, a speaker or a panelist or a colleague. Everybody here is my friend. Every single person here, I have a personal relationship with every single person sitting in this room. So I am very pleased that you guys came to be part of this celebration. It's been an interesting journey. For some days now, when I think of it, I actually struggle to control my emotions. Because it's so difficult for me to, recount how far we have come without understanding how much grace has brought us. We have done a lot of things right, you see, but a lot of people have also done things right and don't get success. We have the best people anybody can imagine. My team, my colleagues, they were all made in heaven. I mean, we are great because of the guys we have in Tenece. Every single one of them, right from the executive management team, down to the drivers who work in Tenece. There is this unusual sense of purpose that you can't just understand what is driving it. Everybody is committed to whatever they are asked to do. People work like their lives depend on it. People don't work because Kingsley is there or because the next line manager is there. People work because they believe it's the right thing for them to do. And it has brought us the kind of success that is overwhelming me personally. I want to say a special thanks to my colleagues at Tenece. Every single thing that was done to get this ready, this event ready, I did not do anything. I mean, I came in here yesterday evening, just still struggling to, appear relevant in the scheme of things. And by the time I hung around for a while, I realized that I didn't have a role. I called my man Namo and said, Namo, can I go? He said, just go, we don't need you here. Nnamdi and his team, down to the very last detail, got this going. I mean, you couldn't wish for a better team. I am very grateful. I come back to Lagos these days and I find out that I don't have anything to do in the office. Okay, and his team in Lagos have taken over all the banks we work for, all the oil and gas companies we work for. They have so taken over that I am more or less completely useless, I must say. I had a minor health challenge, some weeks ago, and had to spend like 3 weeks in Germany. I was away for 3 weeks, and there was no day I got a call saying, oh, if you don't show up now, or if you don't do something now, something is going to happen. And that goes to substantiate or highlight the fact that we have, over time, actually built an organization that is working. An organization that is indeed an organization that is living, where whether Kingsley is there or not there, things run very well. In the past 10 years, we have set up 3 branches in Nigeria, 1 in Ghana, 1 in Ethiopia, 1 in Dubai. I was very excited when I was walking in this morning and I saw Ajwal, our country manager from Dubai. Ajwal, are you here? Can you stand up and say, Excellent. So in these 10 years, we have moved away from IT, which was our core, and gone into a lot of things. Entertainment, real estate, oil and gas engineering services, and trading, pure trading. Somebody said if you're an Igbo man and you don't trade, then you owe God an answer or a response. So we have built all those things and have actually, in every right, consider ourselves an emerging conglomerate in 10 years. And the most amazing thing is that the guys that have done this thing are not guys from the moon. They are regular, everyday people who have come together for a common purpose, and they are driving it with every single energy they have. I am very grateful. As I was discussing with my colleagues and we were trying to prepare my talk, I didn't know what to talk about. I didn't want to come here and start showing anybody slides because we've actually seen enough slides today. And I felt that if I can spend 5 minutes to share certain things that I consider critical in our journey, some of the decisions I took as an individual and some of the decisions we took as an organization, which I think were instrumental to our success. And by sharing that experience, by telling that story, maybe 1 or 2 people in this audience might pick up something that can create another Tenece. Our vision, our desire is that several other Teneces that will hire just slightly under 300 people will emerge from this program. I started off my career like every other young guy. With an engineering degree, I got a job in Diamond Bank. I worked in Diamond Bank Fincon, financial services. That was my first experience into debit or credit. In fact, in place of economics in secondary school, I did further maths. So I had never encountered financial, type engagement. But I was thrown into Fincon, financial services, and I dug in. I gave it my time. In less than 2 months, I was able to prepare our ALCO report. I was able to prepare our CBN report. I started doing things people who have spent several years in the bank were possibly not able to do. In fact, I remember making a joke one time, and I said, if it's this easy, how come people go into university and spend 4 years studying accounting? And I'm doing accounting work in less than 2 months. I gave it my time. I will finish church on Sunday, and I'll drive from Ota, Winners Chapel Ota, to our head office in Diamond Bank then to start off work. On Saturdays, I'm at the office. In fact, because of my Sunday work, I established a personal contact with the then CEO of the bank, Mr. Pascal Dozier, because I had to go to his house on Sundays back in the days to collect the key of the head office. And one day he said to me, "Young man, don't you go to church?" And I said, "Sir, I'm just coming back from church." And that relationship took me a long way. That relationship went beyond Pascal to other people in his family. And when we started doing business, I called on that relationship, and it became very, very useful. While I was in Diamond Bank, I had a very wonderful time. I had a swell time. I was enjoying my job. I was doing very well. I mean, I wasn't missing anything. But I knew that I needed more than banking to get where I wanted to. I was hungry for another experience that was going to expose me more to learning opportunities. And luckily for me, an interview I went for in Anderson Consulting came through, and I was given an offer. So I took the Anderson Consulting offer. It wasn't an easy decision. The reason it wasn't an easy decision was that, take for example that I was earning 100 Naira in Diamond Bank. What I got from Accenture was something around 30 Naira. In fact, it was so bad that my mom, even up till today, she still thinks I'm a young person. She still tries to influence the things I do. So when my mom heard that I was making that switch, and that I was actually going to leave a more paying job for, a job that I was going to, earn lesser, she called me and said, Tochukwu, I hope you're making the right decision. Luckily for me, I had my way with my mom, and it wasn't difficult to explain to her the reason I was making that move, and I got her blessing. But a lot of people around me then did not understand why I was going to leave a job that was paying me more for a job that was going to pay me less. And that gets me to the main point of this story, which is deferred compensation. I have seen a lot of young people make a shipwreck of their lives and careers, because they want to fly before they run. They don't understand the difference between seed and fruit. I have seen people eat their seed and they suffer for it. Because the moment you eat your seed, you will never have harvest. The reason you're going to have harvest is because you put a seed on the ground. When you eat your seed, you're never going to have a harvest. So I took a job that was paying me less, but that had a lot of promise in terms of experience that I was going to get. And I tell you, I was trained very well in Anderson. I learned how to do things right. I learned how to structure things. I learned how to get myself together. I learned basic skills you need to work well in an office environment. But most importantly, given the nature of the consulting environment where you find yourself doing different projects at different times, I became like a jack of all trades. There was very few things you could talk about and I wouldn't have anything to say about it. And like my boss, Mark, said during his presentation, I also got lucky and I was involved in several projects, several industry transforming projects, and they really molded me. They really got me ready for what I'm doing today. And when the time came in Accenture, and how did that time come? I was so broke that those days our gas will finish. I will put the gas cylinder in the car and I will forget to refill it. I wasn't forgetting anything, I didn't have money. But I can't tell my wife that I can't fill this gas. So of course my wife also knew. By the time I come back 3 days in a row without filling that gas, she would just say, "Sake, please just bring out that cylinder for me, okay? And I'll say, "No, I forgot, I won't forget again tomorrow." Say, "Please just bring out that cylinder for me, okay?" That was how bad it was. But I was trading off something and I had an idea of what I was going for. One day I came home after we had our first daughter and I said to her, "My dear, just GCKO, just, be strong. Very soon, I'm going to treat you like a queen." And she said to me, "You better do it fast. I'm already feeling like a single parent." I'm married to a woman that is a straight shooter. She doesn't, and I'm still going to talk more about her. Anyway, but that was like a welcome, that was like an eye-opener. That was, for me, that was like, hey, you've done your time in Anderson, you need to do something else. And then I went to work the next day, and I dropped my letter. I didn't have a job. I dropped my letter. But I was confident that I was going to get something. I was confident that I was going to get something very good. In a very short time, I got an offer from MTN. Very fantastic offer as a software architect. Then MTN just came in, and it was like the buzz around town. So getting an offer from MTN then was like, a big thing. But something happened the day I went to pick my offer letter from MTN. I went to pick my offer letter from Churchgate Building. And then I collected my offer letter from a gentleman, he's Indian, I can't remember his name, but I was supposed to be reporting to him. No, I collected my offer letter from HR, then I went to see this guy at Churchgate Building just to let him know I picked my letter, and so I was supposed to be reporting to him. Something interesting happened. As I left the office and I came to the landing where, where I was going to wait for the lift, I waited for what seemed like forever before the lift came. By the time the lift arrived, there were not less than 20, 25 people waiting for the same lift. And I said, when you talk to yourself, I said to myself, this place is not for me. I can't do this every day. Now, I took the letter, I left, but not having a job. I came to the office some days later and met my boss, Mark. Mark is a fantastic guy. I owe Mark a lot. I learned so much from him. Mark is one of the best guys this country has. Mark has unusual abilities to disintegrate problems and present it in a manner that makes it look less. I owe a lot to him in terms of how my career has progressed. So I came back to Mark and Mark said to me, "Oh, Kings, we need to talk." That he met our friend. So he was referring to Mr. Tony Elumelu, the chairman of UBA. I said, okay. So he said Tony has offered him, a role to set up a holding company for him. And of course, compared to what we're earning in Accenture, Tony's offer was, you don't want to believe it. So I said to Mark, so what's your plan? Mark is also another guy that is hungry for knowledge. He said no, that he doesn't think he will take it. I said, are you mad? If you don't take it, I'll go and tell your wife that I want to remain a poor man. So Mark now said, okay, if you want me to take it, then come with me. And I said, I thought about an opportunity to work with Tony. Tony was a top-rate, entrepreneur. It was going to be like another paid MBA. And I said, scheduled a meeting with Tony, interviewed with Tony. Tony was excited. I resumed with Tony. Now, working with Tony at Heirs Alliance was an interesting exposure to the whole art of business incubation, which is what we stand for today. So there, I had another opportunity to learn a different thing that became important for me, eventually. Now, the offer I got from MTN is important. While Tony's offer was very fantastic, MTN was also going to pay me more money and give me a lot more perks. But I still deferred the compensation. It's very critical. If you cannot wait till tomorrow, if you cannot plant your seed and wait for harvest, you can't go far. I'm telling you this with, every assurance. A lot of people have made a shipwreck of their careers just because they eat their seed. They want to, young people want to run, fly before they run. Anyway, I took the Tony offer and I had an experience of a lifetime. Eventually, Heirs Alliance evolved to become Nexen Business Services, and then I spent some time in Nexen. Then I also got to that point when I felt I was beginning to do the same thing all over again. And I decided to go to school. And I said I wasn't going to go to any school. I checked the Financial Times, ranking of business schools, and the top business school that year was INSEAD in France and Singapore. It was INSEAD and a couple of other schools, even I think Harvard was like number 3 that year. I have an interesting friend who is in this audience, who also made an important impression in my life that also altered my course in a positive way. Mr. Chris Osondo. That evening, I remember it very clearly. I came out to him and I said, Chris, I am bored. I think I'm beginning to do the same thing again. Chris said to me, Kingsley, it is time to change the game. Those were your words, Chris. I appreciate you. He said, Kingsley, it is time to change the game. I went back to the office. This was around 10 p.m. 10 p.m. when normal people were already sleeping in their homes. I immediately walked back into my office, opened my laptop, opened a folder, and created a folder and called it Game Changer. And that night, I started applying for my business school. Luckily, I eventually got admitted into INSEAD, and I went to INSEAD. I went to INSEAD in 2008, the year there was global recession. Everything at that time made it impossible for me to continue with that program. I had little money I had saved in the stocks I bought, when the stock market was booming, but 2008, all of them were worthless. The values went down south. I was broke, I didn't have money. A gentleman called Demola Aladekomo gave me $10,000. I went with my wife to him, he gave me $10,000. Prior to then, I was like a personal consultant to Mr. Aladekomo. If he wanted to do anything cerebral, he wanted to do any analysis, he called me and I did it for him happily, pro bono. Now, I didn't go calling for a favor, I just went and told him that I was in a big challenge. And he bailed me out effortlessly. Now, my school fees was 90,000 euros. 90,000 euros in 2008. 90,000 euros. Some of my contemporaries at that point will use that kind of money to buy themselves Range Rovers. There are a lot of things you can do with 90,000 euros. I wrote an essay, for indigent students, and I got a 5,000 euro grant from the school, bringing it down to 85,000 euros, but it was nothing. So I went to school with $10,000, and then I needed to pay 85,000 euros, and that $10,000, my accommodation, my everything is inside there. Anyway, I went to school. Now, the Oyibo people, like my friend Pato will call them, Oyibo people will call me and say, Mr. Eze. They call me Mr. Eze. Eze is Eze for them. So I didn't bother correcting them. Say, Mr. Eze, when are we getting our money? I'll say next week. They'll leave me. Next week. Friday next week. The woman would come, one Asian woman, I really can't tell where she was from, but I remember her very well. She would come and stand by the door of the auditorium. Immediately I see her, I know what she, why she was there. And of course, after the class, everybody will, walk out. She will now come to me and say, Mr. Eze, can I see you in my office? And I'll go with her to her office. She said, Mr. Eze, you said this week, today is Friday, and we've not received any. I said, oh, no. It's actually next week now. It's not. When you're down, you need fear no fall again. when you're broke and you're back to the wall, there is really nothing else, you can do but to fight back. So that was my experience. In fact, I would sit in the class and I would spot her and I'll go like, hi, this woman. Now, but that was how this whole Tenece thing started off. It was that whole pressure, I needed to survive. And the whole, prior to then, there were a lot of, loose talks about wanting to set up a business. But by the time I was in school, I had to pay my school fees. I had to make a living. I had to take care of my family. I was compelled to start doing something. I started reaching out to friends, started reaching out to people I knew, and then things started happening. I started getting briefs. Enugu State University of Science and Technology, Fidelity Bank, we started getting briefs. I was in school and we opened up our first office. I was in school and we opened up an office in Victoria, Ireland. By the time I was done with school, we had more than 30 people working in Tenece. And that is the beginning of the story, of this journey we have so far. Now, quite a number of things happened. And so many of them were almost geared to make you quit. It was almost like at every point, there is a lot of pressure to make you quit. But I don't want to say, that I am so strong. I actually don't consider myself a very strong person. But I think I was blessed, quite early with a lot of good colleagues who were as committed and as passionate as I was. Now, but I also did something. It was almost like an unwritten rule in Tenece at those early stages that if we have an opportunity to serve any customer, that we will kill ourselves to deliver the best. In fact, then it was so bad that a customer will give us a PO, and the customer will make a mistake in the PO and not include certain components, and only to find out that those components are not there. If you take a bank, for example, the person who took that decision most likely might be fired. We will use our own money. I have an example I remember, Axite's implementation. I don't want to mention the bank, but that was exactly what happened. Somebody made a mistake, did not add all the components. We spent, at that time, additional $50,000 to include the components that they forgot to put so that somebody will not lose their job and so that they will be happy for us. That was our mindset with our customers. Our first job, the first bank we sold a product to, we sold a product for reconciliation of ATM transactions. And one of the things that drove us was innovation. We started looking out for problems we could solve. That time, it was, banks were having a lot of problems because the quality of the connectivity was so poor. So, transactions were failing, at an alarming rate. So when transaction fails, a lot of it doesn't get reversed properly. So you have a lot of, unreconciled transactions. And some banks have uncleared, unreconciled transactions, in the range of billions, and that's a lot. So we sat back and came up with a product that banks will start using to do their ATM reconciliation. I remember the meeting we went with our first client. We didn't have a product, we had a concept. But we went and sold a product. And client said, when will you start deployment? My colleagues that I went with, Nelson Ihuko was in that meeting, and a couple of other guys I can't remember. They were looking at me like, what has Kingsley just done? You just sold something we don't have. But that's also another learning point. If you don't, I don't know how to put it. You must be determined to survive. But immediately the customer said, come and deploy. All of us lost sleep, including me. all of us lost sleep. We got some, I think 4 weeks or 6 weeks, but in that 6 weeks, we deployed the solution. And immediately we deployed it, other banks started asking for it. You know, it's, as I recount our experience, it's you know, some of the things that happened at that time, you know, I remember them now. When I came to the office this morning, one of my colleagues called me. He said that he's actually been thinking about a lot of things, that he just was thinking about those early stages when we had plastic seats, plastic chairs. You know, plastic chairs, the type you use when you go for, you know, wedding reception. That was what we had, including me. And, you know, when he said that, I actually started thinking. I started remembering all of our colleagues, every single one of us. This gentleman, Nnamdi, you know, that, you know, put this whole together, and he's also running our hub. He just came back he finished his first degree in UNN, you know, he read electronics in UNN, went to London School of Economics for his master's, came back, and a friend told him about Tenece. He strolled in to know, you know, Tenece, you know, and he was in Enugu. He actually was interviewed. And interestingly, he took the job. He has enough qualifications to have gone to Shell or any other place. He took the job. And today, I am sure he's very happy he took that decision. And this is the story with every single one of us in Tenece. I don't even know any of my colleagues that I can tell the story without mentioning or without remembering one important thing they did in the course of our journey. But in rounding up, my key takeaway is that you can actually predict the future. The way I like to give that example is that, because when you say you can predict the future, some people might begin to think you're being blasphemous or whatever it's called. If you want to be a medical doctor, you enroll into a medical school. If you do the normal 5 years plus house job and all that, you definitely will be a medical doctor. In my world, that is predicting the future. So in the same way, if you want to do something serious, if you want to be a successful entrepreneur, there are certain principles. Actually, some people actually think that you get into business as an entrepreneur so that you have your freedom, so that you can go to work when you want, so that you can blow all the money. You know, it's actually the other way. It's actually the other way. In fact, the moment you become an entrepreneur, it's like you have killed sleep. It's like you have taken out every, you know, ability for you to have money in your pocket that you can use on yourself. But it doesn't last forever. There is also that time where you sow the seed, and eventually a time comes when certain things will not be a difficult thing to pursue. So I think that our story is a very successful one. I think that our story is something that any person who aspires to do something serious should seek to do. Today, we are no longer existing as an organization just wanting to make money. Our objective today is to begin to create more impact in the people, and that is what has led to Genesys. We are more interested in transforming people, in changing the lives of people, in developing people through our Genesys program. And for us, that is the future. The future for us is a time where we're going to be responsible for raising a lot more Teneces, for raising a lot more, you know, Prolog Energy services. Interestingly, what we're doing today as Genesys Tech Hub was also a problem we encountered in the course of our business. And in solving that problem, something good came out of it. We started off as a software development company. Of course, we didn't have money, so we couldn't play in the technology, in the infrastructure space of technology. So we started with software development and then, of course, you know, advisory. In the course of that, we realized that when we bring in programmers and train them, the next day, some big company takes them off. And that became a recurrent, you know, experience. And what did we do? Instead of sitting back and crying about it or blaming people for pursuing greener pastures, we sat back and said, you know what? Let us create a process that will bring in a lot more people for us that we can train. As we train more people, it will become very difficult for any company to come and take them, you know, all of them at the same time. And that was how the Genesys internship program came up. We went to all the schools, tertiary institutions around here, instituted scholarship programs for the best students. In fact, some of the guys working with us in Tenece today are beneficiaries of our Tenece scholarship program. So we set up the scholarship programs and then gave an opportunity for those smart, young boys and girls to come and do their internship in Tenece. And that became how we now built a massive pipeline of software engineers. And then instead of having problems with people, other companies coming to take our resources, we are now outsourcing resources to other companies. We have people that we have trained that have come out of this our program that are today working in Stanbic IBTC, working in UBA, working in Nokia, what used to be Alcatel Sense, Nokia. And because we work for these banks and other entities, we understand their needs. So as we train these guys, we channel them, tell them, to be fit for what those companies need. And then, of course, it becomes very easy for us to create opportunities for them in in those companies. So I have so much to say, and I can't even, have enough time to wrap it up. But before I close, I will please want to take 1 minute to call out my senior colleagues that I work with. I don't think it would be fair for me to come here, stand up, talk, and then go away and go and sit down. The things we have achieved, we would not have been able to achieve without these guys. I just want us to take out 1 minute. All the AVPs and above in Tenece, please come out. Our country manager in Ghana, please come out. Our country manager in Dubai, come out. Our guy from Ethiopia, if he's around, please let him come out. I just want all of us to come out here. Okay, didn't come. So when I was talking, I said that the guys I work with are normal, everyday people. But the difference is that these are everyday people who are committed to a cause. And that is why we have been able to do what we do today. So behind me here are the guys who make me sake. They are the guys who make me thick. Without them, I am absolutely nothing. I got an SMS yesterday from my mom. She sent me an SMS and said, Sake, can I come? I said, Mommy, please come. I don't know if she's here. Mommy, if you are here, please, I want you to just stand up. She didn't come. Anyway, but that's it. I wish she came. I wish she came. But I am very grateful for all of you. I'm grateful for my colleagues. These are the best guys. In Lagos, the guys we compete with in Lagos, they are afraid of us. I'm not like, if a bid opens and they hear that Tenece is interested in that bid, everybody loses hope. Because my guys will not sleep. And I'm not kidding. They will not sleep until we pick up that bid. People stay in the office, and they don't do it because I am there. I'm rarely in the office. In the past 6 weeks, I just show up, go do my physiotherapy, show up in the office just to, at least justify my own salary at the end of the month, and then I leave. These guys are the reason, we're at Tenece, and I am very grateful to all of you. Thank you, guys. Okay. Okay, to make things move fast, you know, I have here someone who is not just a friend. He's a friend, he's a brother. Our paths have crossed in an interesting way. Please, if we might need to just stand there because we're going to, our paths have crossed in an interesting way, and almost as if he was, you know, preordained. Every single thing I do with him. Even at the time we were conceiving Tenece, he was next to me. Patrick Okibo III. Pato, please come. I do not think it will be, you know, he was supposed to make a presentation, so I wanted to do this, you know, during his presentation, and they advised that I do it now. I do not think our story will be complete if I do not talk about the role Patrick played in what we're doing, and he continues to play in what I do every day. I have found a brother in Patrick, and he's another great guy, doing wonderful things in Abuja, changing the face of the power sector and, you know, other areas where he's working, you know, to support government from a policy standpoint. Pato, thank you very much. Again.
Okay, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Patrick Okibo. My wife does not believe that I cheat on her. But every time I leave for Enugu, she gets jealous. Because she would say, Ijebegonu, Kije for Kingsley. That is the nature of the relationship I have with Kingsley. In fact, interestingly, we met probably over 20-something years ago. I was hustling, selling hair attachment in Balogu Market. You wouldn't believe that, would you? He was working for a company that made hair attachment, and we needed to buy hair attachment from that company. And they wouldn't sell to us because we didn't have money, but there's always a way. So that was the first time I met Kingsley. And then I applied and got into Diamond Bank. So I started making some decent money. And then Kingsley on his own applied to Diamond Bank and got invited for an interview. But he didn't have a suit to wear to the interview. And he called me up, and at this time I had only one suit. And I said, okay, I'll give you my suit to wear to the interview. And on that day, I wore just trousers and shirt and tie to work. Interestingly, as I moved from Diamond Bank to Accenture, he also moved to Accenture. I happen to have been best man at his wedding. But there's an interesting story there, because I did not realize I was going to be best man until around 6 p.m. on a Friday evening. And Kingsley told me he's getting married the next day. The story of his wedding is an interesting story, but we don't have time. Just to show you how interesting it is, the wedding cake was bought from, I think, Mr. Biggs.
You know, it's an interesting story. And I had a wedding with less than 50,000 naira. And I'm not kidding. So we finished our wine carrying, and I had two scenarios of, you know, wedding expenditure on my laptop. Scenario one was somewhere in the neighborhood of 2 million. Then scenario two was, you know, about 3-point-something million. And then already my wife and I were already planning that, oh, after the wedding and a little while, she was going to travel for her master's and all that. So the option was call the entire Lagos and feed them, and you can't even feed them. And then, or just take your wife to church, wed her, and then move on. I called my pastor then, Pastor Norbs, Dominion City. Is Pastor Norbs around, please? I called Pastor Norbs. I said, see, can we do this? He said, that is wedding. He said, that is exactly what the wedding requires. You don't need to do anything. Show up with your wife and I'll wed you. I called my mom, called my dad, say, I am wedding next week. By the way, my mom was happy because after the traditional wedding, she said, please, as you're taking this girl to Lagos, quickly do her wedding so that she won't get pregnant. I said, Mommy, don't worry about that one. But she was very excited. I called my dad. Then my wife and I called my in-laws and, of course, tried to explain. My mother-in-law didn't particularly like. She said, I know you people are just starting. If you need money, tell me. I will give you. I said, Mommy, it's not. Now, it wasn't just that we're doing a small wedding. We even told them that they are not invited. Because we can't, the moment you invite them, they will invite their friends, and their friends will invite their friends, and the whole thing will get. Anyway, my wife went to, let me finish the story, please. My wife ordered a small cake from her office for less than 1,000 naira. That became our wedding cake. She went to Mandela's, bought an evening gown, bought a satin, and used the satin to create a veil, and that became our wedding gown. I just wore one of my normal suits, and that was when I called my mom Pato and said, you know that your gray suit, wear it. Look for any blue tie, wear it. Please show up in my church the next day. And that was my wedding. And I am still married to that woman, and we are so happy together.
I raised that story because there's a moral in it. Yeah? When I talk to people from, I think, the third row down, you know, because I think that's where young people are. We sometimes set up unnecessary restrictions to our ability. So you want to move forward, but you won't move forward because society has set some expectations on you. Shed all of that. Shed all of that and move on. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. Yeah? Nobody cares. When you look at Kingsley today or some of the successful people we see here, you might think, can I ever make it? And I want to tell you that you can go as far as your dream, as big as your dream, as you're the limitation on who you become. Set yourself free. Dream big, but be ready to put in the hard work. There's so many stories here. There's so many stories here. One day we'll have the time to tell those stories. But just to say that everything starts from a dream and a vision. The place we're in today, this Enugu lifestyle and Gulf City that we're in today, started as a conversation between us. A conversation. And a few years later, it brings a lot of joy in my heart that we can bring people to this place. The day we came here, the first time we came here, we stopped somewhere probably 200 meters from here and walked all the way, and this place was as God created it, virgin as God created it. And we got lost to antelopes everywhere, monkeys and baboons everywhere, massive snakes that will scare the bejesuses out of you. But there was a dream to, that thing people go to Europe to buy a house to live in, why can't we create it here? And that's what this is. That's what Tenece is. That's what Genesys is. And that's what you should aspire for. Dream. Dream. I mean, Kingsley talked about, you know, going to INSEAD, and I remember when we were dealing with that problem of how do you pay 90,000 euros and trying to start a company with nothing. Tenece today, I land in Enugu and I see Tenece cars running all over the place. At the time, it was one black Toyota Corolla that went everywhere. And sometimes getting money for fuel for that Toyota Corolla was a problem. But there was a dream. And if you walk your dream and don't allow yourself to be limited in any way, don't think about whatever anybody says. Believe it in your heart and it will come to pass. That's the story you see on the stage today. Another day we'll have time to gist. Yeah? Thank you very much.
So just stay back. No, the cake cutting. Then we'll go,
We would like to invite all our special guests, our panelists, and our speakers to please come down for the cake cutting. We are moving things along and we'll be wrapping up in just a bit. So please, special guests, the chairman of the event, our panelists, invited dignitaries, please make your way to the stage, to the front of the stage as we cut the cake commemorating the 10-year anniversary of Tenece. I'll also just remind you again a few housekeeping bits. There will be a fireside chat with Emeka Okoye, and that's for the Genesys Tech Hub ambassadors. The students here, you are also invited to a fireside chat with the Genesys Learning and Development Coordinator, and that will be happening by the buses. The social media challenge is wrapping up. We will be giving out that smartphone in just a bit, so it's not too late for you to take part in that. Follow at Genesys Tech Hub on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Post a quote, a picture, capture a moment from today's event, and post it using hashtag Genesys Ignite or hashtag Ignite18 to stand a chance to win. Again, the medical stand is outside. You can check your blood pressure, check your blood sugar, and just have a general health awareness chat. And that, please. Sir Kay, would you please pick the knife that's there for the cake? Sir Kay, please pick the knife. And we want to say a very big thank you to Hajia HMO. They're the ones who provided the medical stand for us today, so thank you so much for that. We still do have $30,000 in seed funding to give away to 2 startups happening today, and in just a bit we'll also be giving out some special prizes to schools and young people who took part in the Young Innovators Challenge. But while they're cutting the cake, I also want to say there is a performance dedicated to Tenece at 10. So ladies and gentlemen, right now, please put your hands together for Tough Bangs and Dabs. This is a special number to celebrate 10 years of Tenece.
We dey thank God for the place where we dey today. When we first start, them things say we go fade away. But now we 10, Tenece, 10, now we 10. Oh. DJ, let's do this, man. Please, can we have this song? Please, let's have the song, please.
Chairman. So, Tenece at 10. We've had a very inspiring story of hard work. We've had a very inspiring story of Uche applying our common sense and also intelligence. We've had a story of Uchu bringing hard work to bear, and we have also heard a story of grace and morality underpinned by Eguchukwu. On this note, at the count of 3, we will cut this cake. So we are cutting the cake in dedication to 1, hard work, 2, sense and integrity, and 3, grace of God.
We want to tell y'all Tough Bangs, Dabs. Whoa, whoa. It's Tenece. We on 10, y'all. Tough bangs. Jobs. We in town.